Okay, thanks. It's great to be on. We've already had a couple of great webinars and a great conference call as well. This is the third webinar tonight, and tonight we are here on this webinar to talk with you about how to build a successful longevity business. When we talk about how to build a successful longevity business, we're talking about how to be successful with your time. You know, your biggest investment in this business is your time. And we want people to get the best results for their time. So we're going to talk with you about how to get those best results. Now, we're going to talk with you about this from experience, you see, because, ladies and gentlemen, this business has been a great business for me and my partner. In fact, I spent 4 years with another business, another nutritional company. 2 years with Dr. Wallach because of his CD actually led me to get about 70 times the volume that I had after 4 years with this other company. 2 years with Dr. Wallach, 7 times the volume. Now, even though we had great results, even though we achieved the highest rank in the company in about 6 years with the company, even though we've been with the company for 15 years, let me say this: in the last 2.5 years, our volume has roughly quadrupled. And we've had so much growth recently. In fact, the company as a whole was voted as the fastest growing MLM, the fastest growing network marketing business in all of America earlier this year. That's how fast we're growing. And we want you to share this with us. We want to be able to teach you how you can build a business and participate in this and help a lot of people along the way. And so we're going to go over some principles, going to go over some steps tonight, and hopefully if you have any questions, you can ask it as we go along. My partner Todd Smith, who did the last couple webinars for us, is on with us, and we have some other very successful distributors that are on as well that can help you in getting the answers to your questions so that you get better results for your time. Again, we want you to get the best results for your time. To do that, I'm going to start tonight by going through what I call the cash flow quadrant. It's from Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, but he says there's 4 ways people make money, right? 4 ways. One, you can be an employee. As an employee, you trade time for money. You get paid by the hour, you get paid by the month. You're not necessarily paid for the results. You're not paid by the number of customers you service necessarily there. But if you move on to the next quadrant, the self-employed business, that's when you are, because you're paid on results. The qualifying characteristic of a self-employed person, though, is that you have to be there in order to make money. Yeah, like let's say you own your own plumbing business and you're the only plumber there. If you're not there working the lines, you're not making any money. If you're an accountant, you're not working on someone's taxes. If you're even a doctor not seeing a patient or a dentist not seeing your patients, right? That's what is a self-employed person. Now, B stands for a business owner, and this is where you don't necessarily have to be in the store in order for the store to make money. In this scenario, from the plumbing business, let's say you have a business and there are other plumbers where you don't have to be the one going out there to service the calls to make money. You could have a franchise and you don't have to be in the store to have someone else manage that store in order for it to generate money. That's a business owner. And theoretically, you could have as many businesses as you could make successful and have somebody to successfully manage. I stands for investment. This is where your money makes your money. You can invest in the company, and we have a lot of people that do, but we're not here to talk about the investment opportunity. In fact, if you want to participate in the investment opportunity, the best way to do that is to do it on the house's money. In other words, build a business and qualify for the stock options. And we're not here to talk about being an employee. You'd have to move to San Diego or to go to the work at the Chula Vista headquarters, okay? We're here to talk about a business. And when you look at it, there's 2 different types. Again, an S quadrant and a B quadrant. The difference between an S quadrant and a B is S, it's dependent on you. You're going to work with people, you get a referral, you go work with them. It's dependent on you. Think of sales, right? Where you're making the sale. Yes, in our business, you can make the sale and have the company help service the customer, but you're typically going to be responsible for the growth. If you, however, build a B quadrant business, this is where you can find people, and some of those people, in addition to using products, are going to share the message as well. We're going to talk specifically tonight about sharing this message right here. The dead doctors don't lie CD, and share it in a way that people listen to it. But if you talk with some people, and they talk with some people, and they talk with some people, you can see how this business would grow. You can see why the B quadrant business changes more lives, why this one has the potential to make more money. If that's something that's important for you, for providing for your family, this is a great business to be in. And this is the one with the time freedom. If you'd like to be able to go to family activities, and yes, there you spend time in the business, but you can actually generate an income that continues even when you're not physically working the business, and that's a great way to get time freedom. And there's a reason why Dr. Wallach chose to set it up. He chose a B quadrant business because he realized after 17 years of trying to teach the medical profession, when they wouldn't listen because they make money when people are sick, he decided that he'd become a physician. 12 years in private practice, realized that even though he worked really hard as a physician, the world was getting sicker and sicker. For him to change the world and be able to do it, he had to be able to expand outside of his own efforts. And that's why he saw this B quadrant business and he got involved. So which one do you want? What kind of business would you like? Would you like a business that grows not only when you work, but it grows even the places where you're not there? Would you like that? Well, if that's the case, then you have to build it correctly. You can't build it like an S and hope it will be a B. You can't you can't be in, say, Denver, Colorado, and want to go to Salt Lake and head east. It doesn't work that way. You've got to go west, right? You can't build it one way and hope it's going to turn into something else. You have to build it like a B from the beginning. So how do we build it from a B? That's a principle called duplication. Now, duplication is not a yes or a no. It's actually a how much. If you talk to one person and they talk to one person and they talk to one person down through 6 generations, you spoke with one and there are now 6 people. That's duplication. You can work twice as hard where you speak with twice as many. Everybody else only speaks with one, and now you've got twice the size of the organization. Or you could increase your duplication. What would happen if you double your duplication where you speak with 2 and then they in turn speak with 2? Well, now over the same 6 generations, it's over 100 people. And if you increase that, say 50% from a 2 to a 3, goes from 100 to over 1,000 people. Let's say you increase that another 33% to go from a 2 to a 4 to double your duplication. Okay, goes from over 100 to over 5,400 people. Folks, that's what we're saying here. You can get much better results by increasing your duplication. Small changes in your duplication have huge changes on your results. And that goes for doing it right as well for doing it wrong. So how do we want to get more and more duplication in our group? How do we do that? Well, there's an answer. To increase your duplication, the more they say I can do that too, the greater your duplication. The more you have effective ways that other people can do this business, the more likely you are to get the business to grow even when you're not there. And this is so important, okay? The groups that are growing the fastest with duplication are doing it because they're teaching duplication. Now let's go over this, right? Here's a principle. I want you to understand that this is actually something that you already have the skills to do. It's probably something you've already done in the past when we talk about word of mouth advertising. If you've ever read a good book and told your friends about it, or watched a good restaurant and told someone about it and they ate at the restaurant too. Well, the same skills that work in that situation will work with you in your business here with Youngevity. It's about changing people's lives, but our principle is word of mouth. And I want you to understand this principle. In word of mouth, you don't have to become the chef in order to introduce a good restaurant to your friends. All you have to do is bring them to the restaurant. That's what we're going to talk about, is bringing them to the restaurant. See, our job with Youngevity is that we have a proven system called well, that's the restaurant for us, the proven system. We have tools, we have events, we have trainings, we have presentations that are our system. And our job is to bring people in and introduce them to the system. That's going to be the restaurant. And for us to bring people to the restaurant, the key is for us to master something that I call effective inviting. Now, to do that, before we get started, again, it's about being effective with your time. Now, I'm going to repeat that. I want you to be effective with your time. To do that, you're going to need a couple of tools. So I'm going to come over here to what I call the ABCs of getting ready, so I can show you right here, our getting started tools list, right? Number 1, for you to get in this business and do it right, you need to qualify for the quick start. That's kind of you want the best return on your time. There's a big difference between earning 88% and earning 30%. Would you like to earn 30% where you were only earning 8%? Yeah, if you'd like to increase the amount you earn based on the same amount of time, then you got to qualify for the quick start bonus. That means you need an auto ship for at least 100 BV. And that's essentially a healthy start, 100 QV qualifying volume. That's a healthy start on auto ship. You can use other products, but you need to have that in to get the best returns at a time, and you'll get benefit from the products. The other thing, if you really want to participate in all that the company has, you need to be CEO qualified. Now, I say that because there's special bonuses that come with the purchase of a CEO package. You don't do that every month, you do it one time, but then you can qualify for the car bonus. And 1 month of the car bonus is worth more than the extra on upgrading to a CEO, right? It's the additional products plus about another $280 or so. But 1 month of the car bonus is $300. Plus, there are stock options. And if you don't do it in the beginning, yes, you can qualify later. That's one of the things. The company's not going to take that opportunity away from you. But you will miss out on any of the stock options that you could have earned had you already been qualified, okay? That's one thing. So, if you can do it from the beginning, stretch a little bit and do it. Plus, you get to come to the training. And on September 14th and 15th, we have in Denver, Colorado, our next CEO retreat. If you've paid for a CEO package, you've done an upgrade, you are qualified to come to that retreat for free. And so all you have to do is get yourself out to Denver, Colorado. But you do need to register. So go and make sure you're registered for that. And if you need to know where to register, Todd, this is one that we're going to ask you if you wouldn't mind typing in the link on where they can go to register for that. But that's what you want to do. First thing, get your CEO pack and sign up for the auto ship. So you get the free shipping once a month too. I didn't even mention that. Second of all, order your tools. You're going to need the Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Even if you come in for only the $10 and you say, I'm going to wait and do my CEO package, you're going to want to get at least 10 of these CDs. And preferably, if you're coming in right, you'll want to get 20 of them and get them with your name and phone number already printed here at the bottom. You can get them personalized there, right? And you can even get it with a CD mailer that'll help you share this, plus training on the products and the business. And there's some great training here in what we call our audio library, the Youngevity audio library. And then get some business cards. Now, these are the 90 for Life business cards, and these are the cards that show the simple steps on how people find out about this. We're not going to ask anybody to buy that doesn't want to buy. What we are going to do is ask people to take a look and make their own decisions. And that's what we're going to talk about. That's why the CD is so effective, because more people, when they listen to it, they get excited about it. But it doesn't count till they listen to it. We'll talk more about that. But you got to have the CD. You got to have the tools. You can get those at ytmtools.com. Then you have to do what you're doing right now. Get some training. Anybody that comes in, we want you to get some training on how to share the CD so that people listen to it. There's advanced training available at the CEO training and at conventions. And again, the next CEO training is coming up. But as a review of tonight's webinar, we're going to encourage you to go to wallachonline.com under multimedia. There's a multimedia section there, and look for the webinar called Business Basics by Blake. That's another webinar where we talk about the same principle, but it's a great one to review. That's one of the ones that people look at over and over and over again, so they get natural and comfortable at being able to share the CD so that people listen to it, right? Okay. Great thing. You also want your own 90 for Life website. That's another one that you need to do. Make sure you've got your own website so that when people, and put that on your business card. That's why we have those business cards. But that way, when people come, when they listen to the Dead Doctors Online, they get excited about it and they go online. You want them going on to your website, watching your videos, signing up in your organization instead of signing up in somebody else's. All right. Well, let's go on to the next one. We're going back to the inviting training. Okay, now here, when we talk about inviting, this is the most important activity, not only for you to learn, the most important activity for you to teach. That's one of the reasons we talk about that webinar, because you can learn it here tonight, but your people can't see it again until next Thursday when we do it again. But if you want to review it, or you want to train your people on how to do it right from the get-go, use that webinar called Business Basics by Blake. That's a great one to do. Okay, so let's talk about it. Why are we so confident? And this is an important principle. Why are we so confident in our ability to introduce a good restaurant to our friends and family? Well, the reason is there's some principles behind it. One, we think they're going to like the restaurant. It's something they're going to enjoy. They're going to be grateful for the introduction. And they're already interested. They're already looking for good food. They're already looking for great prices. They're looking for that. They're already in that market. They have a want and a need. Well, in Youngevity, we're going to apply the same principles. I want you to ask yourself, as we talk to people, ask yourself, what about Jevity do we think that that person's going to like? What are they going to be interested in? And this is important. Now, sometimes we think about what they need. And most of the time, there are many times when people want what they need, right? They have, let's say they have joint pain. They want help with their joint pain because they have pain. That's a need and a want. Sometimes they have financial pressure, right? They want help with their financial pressure. That's a need and a want. Sometimes they don't know, they might not know the need, and so they might not have a want associated with it. Um, so there are some times that maybe the most pressing need might not be what they want, but we're going to start with what people want. What are they interested in? Because people don't always, we know everybody needs the 90 essential nutrients, right? Who gets them? The people who want them. So here's how we increase our effectiveness. Either we're going to guess their interest, which you can do, right? Especially if you know the person, or we can talk about their interest. And here's the thing. By talking about their interest, it empowers you to be in a position to provide solutions. Now, you don't personally have to be the solution. You don't have to be the one that has all the answers, but we're going to connect them with the answers. In other words, it's like bringing them to the restaurant. The restaurant's going to be their solution, right? We're going to help bring them. Now, we call this identifying the need, and it is one majorly important principle. In fact, before we do anything on how we share the message, as a preliminary step, we want to identify the need so that we know what that person wants and that person knows that we know what they want. Okay. Now, some people call this the coffee shop interview. You want to abbreviate that? That's a little CSI, where you're doing a little detective work. How can we help this person? And here's the beautiful thing about being a solutions provider. You don't have to feel like a salesman because it's not about making a sale. It's about making a difference. We're going to be the solution provider. So to be a solution provider, you got to identify the need. What is the need? What's the want? What is it there that they want a solution for? We've all heard people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. This is a great principle of life. So the first thing we want to do is help people understand that we care. Learn to listen for people's needs and wants. There's a common saying that the good Lord gave us 2 ears and only 1 mouth. We need to listen more before we talk. And that's a great thing. We want to learn to identify the need. And here's the thing. By identifying a person's need, we help them, in turn, want to catch this message that we have to share. Imagine that this message is an incredibly valuable football, let's say, studded with diamonds, right? You can throw the football to someone, and if they catch from their perspective, you're throwing things at them, not to them. You're pushing something on them that they didn't ask for, right? That's what that's what I mean. We want people wanting this message. When they're saying, give it to me. What have you got? I need it. I want it. Give it to me. That's when they're going to be open to listen to it. They say a mind's like an umbrella. It doesn't work unless it's open, right? You could talk to people till you're blue in the face. If they're not open to what you have to say, it's not going to make the difference. Now, identifying the need ties hand in hand with our next step, planning the best, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie CD. Again, this CD to meet their need. And the reason we lend the CD is once we've established a need, we can use the CD as the restaurant. In fact, it's quicker and easier and more effective to bring people to the restaurant than it is to try to become the chef. It's quicker, easier, and more effective to have someone who listens to the CD than it is for you to memorize the CD and you tell them. And I talked about that from personal experience. See, when I got involved in this business, my mother had plenty of diseases. She was on 15 different prescriptions. And I heard Dr. Wallach, and I went and told my mother everything that she should take. And my mother took all of the things that I said and went and asked her MD. Now, what do you think the MD said? The MD should have said, Nancy, we've been working with you for 20 years. You're only getting worse. You're on 15 different prescriptions. What have you got to lose? What the MD actually said is, Nancy, you're on 15 different prescriptions. You might mess something up. You might overdose on those vitamins. Like vitamins are bad. How many people have died from a vitamin overdose or a mineral overdose? And the answer is none, right? They don't die from that, but they do die from pharmaceuticals. In fact, last year I think it was 270,000 people in America died from taking prescriptions as directed. Okay, so there's a big difference in that. But my mother, for 2 years I tried to talk with my mother and talk with my mother and talk with my mother. And I went and listened to Dr. Wallach again, read his books, listened to the CDs, made notes, went and practiced what to say, and then went and told my mother about it. And it didn't matter, I realized after 2 years, it took me to realize this, but it didn't matter how much I practiced. As long as I was the one saying it, it didn't matter what I said. Now, you've heard the phrase, you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Well, ladies and gentlemen, how it is sometimes it's hard to say the right thing when to that person you are the wrong person. If they don't see you as a health expert, how can you be the one to give them the health solutions? If they don't see you as a financial expert, are they going to take your financial advice on how to change their financial health? And the answer is probably no, right? So, what do? We're going to use something else. We are going to be a master at being the bridge. There's actually a CD, if you want to get some additional training on this, called the ABC method, where you can learn to be the bridge of bringing people to a restaurant in a way that they're going to really want the food, okay? The CD is going to be the restaurant. And the key is not how many CDs we share. It's how many they actually listen to. Now, with my mother, I knew that because for the first 2 years, I gave her about 10 CDs over and over and over again, and she didn't listen to any of them. She said to me, Blake, I don't listen to CDs. I like to read. Well, I say, Mom, that's great. We have some books, and we have some incredible books by Dr. Wallach. This is my favorite one. In fact, this is a book, I think if anybody actually reads this book, they're going to be on board with Dr. Wallach. You can't help but, after you read this book, be excited for the man's crusade, for Dr. Wallach's passion for the difference in people's lives that the nutrition can make. Okay, but I gave her the book and she didn't read it. Well, let me ask you this: a book that they don't read, will that change their life? A CD they don't listen to, is that going to change their life? How about products they don't take? I've had people that didn't listen to the CD, didn't read the book, and I gave them products. Family members especially. And the product sat in their fridge or in their cupboard for a year or more, and they never took it. Will that make you healthy? The answer is no. You've got to use it. And you know who uses the products? Those who want to use the products. So we've got to start with the education so that they want to do it. So who listens to the CD? Those that want to. Now, let me tell you, sometimes I've learned to be a little creative. After 2 years with my mother, here's why I believe the CD is so good. I went and picked my mother up, and it was my car, my radio, and I realized my car, my radio, my CD player, right? So if I play the CD while she's in the car, she can't help but to listen to it. And so after my mother got in, I waited even until we were driving down fast enough that she's not going to get out and go home or go get in her own car, right? I had a captive audience. And when I put it in and I said, Mom, I want to listen to this for work, and I put that CD in, my mother went to sleep. She had a way to escape that I had not even considered. She went to sleep. So I thought, if the best I'm going to do is get into her subconscious, by golly, I'm going to get it in there. And I turned it up, and for 20 minutes, we drove to my brother's house. At the end of 20 minutes, even though she pretended to be asleep, 20 minutes with this CD, she gets out of the car and says, okay, Blake, I'll try the products. She'll try the products. I was amazed. 20 minutes with this CD was better than 2 years with me, folks. That's what I'm saying. You want people to listen to that CD. Well, how do we do this? We're going to tailor our message to what people want. That's an important thing. What people want. And I'm going to give you some stories of how to do this. These are real life examples, right? Dr. Wallach, I actually learned this one from Dr. Wallach, and it's what started me on learning this one phrase that'll help people listen to it. See, Dr. Wallach was on an airplane and saw a lady that had some joint pain, right? It was obvious she struggles when she walks, and she is sitting next to him on the plane. And they get into a conversation, and he starts to find out about her, right? Doing a little identify the need. And as he's having this conversation with her, he learns that she's a horse trainer. And not only is she a horse trainer, she loves horses so much that she talked her husband into investing their life savings, and they bought a horse ranch. And She's jumping horses, teaching other people how to jump horses, training riders, training horses. It's her dream job. The challenge is it's killing her. Her back and her neck and her knees have deteriorated to the point that anytime the horse even bounces, it shoots pain up and down her spine. Pain in her knees, pain in her back, pain in her neck. She's worried seriously that she's going to fall off the horse and break her neck, like that actor that played Superman, Christopher Reeves. And she goes on for like 2.5 hours with this. And after 2.5 hours, as the plane comes in for a landing, she turns to Dr. Wallach and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I've spoken this whole time about me. What is it that you do?" Now, if you were Dr. Wallach, if you were the Dr. Wallach, if you had all the information that Dr. Wallach had, what could you say? Yeah, you could go on for hours and hours and hours, but you don't have that time. And if you understand the principle, saying a lot of information before they're ready for it is premature, right? It's like cracking the egg before you put the fry fry pan on the stove, just cracking the egg right on the stove. It's premature. You need to do it in the right order. When they're ready to listen to it is the best time. And so here's what Dr. Wallach said. He simply said, and I want you to learn this phrase. If you're new in the business, this phrase can be the key to having a lot of people listen to this. And I'm going to share a few stories, success stories of people with this phrase. But he says, believe it or not, I work with a company that specializes in making products to fix the knees, the back, and the necks of horse trainers. And she was amazed. She's like, "Excuse me, could you say that again?" She says, "Yeah, believe it or not, I work with a company that specializes in making products to fix the knees and the back and the necks of horse trainers." Well, what do you think? Do you think she was ready for a CD? Yes, she wanted a CD. She wanted a product. She even reached over and grabbed Dr. Wallach by the shirt and said, "I want the stuff." I mean, she wasn't taking no for an answer on this no matter what. She wanted the thing. And she got off the plane. They got on the phone. They called the company, and not only got her order, got her on auto ship, and she went around and started to talk to the other horse trainers about how she met a guy that works with a company that specializes in making products to fix the knees and the back and the necks of horse trainers. Now, I heard this training from Dr. Wallach. And I was in an elevator in Japan, and I saw a gentleman there and said, "Hey, how you doing today? What are you doing here in Japan?" He wasn't Japanese, I could kind of tell. And he said, "Well, I'm here teaching English, but my diabetes is so bad that I'm going to have to go back to England." And he went on to explain how he believed that the medication they're messing up in Japan, it wasn't working anymore. His blood sugar's up over 500, and his wife's crying herself to sleep every night because they're worried he's going to have a stroke. Well, then he turned to me and asked me what I was doing in Japan. And I said to him simply, believe it or not, I work with a doctor or company that specializes in preventing and reversing diabetes. And he says, "You do?" I'm like, "Yeah. In fact, there's nobody in the world that does it like Dr. Wallach does." Now, let me ask you this. Do you think he was ready to listen to a CD? He wanted a CD. He wanted any products. He went out of there excited. And he went to his English class and actually told his English class how he had had the answer to his prayers. He had been praying and praying and praying that someone, somewhere, somehow, he would find something to help. And I ran into him in an elevator. I didn't know he was praying, but the good Lord did. Now, how many people have ever prayed for somebody else's health? How many people have somebody they're praying for now? How many people know someone that's prayed for someone else's health? Yeah, it's all throughout America. I mean, more and more people are getting sick than ever before, right? Well, I believe that the good Lord hears and answers prayers, but he does it through us often. Sometimes you can be in a position to be the answers to a person's prayers. And you've already seen that, I'm sure, in your life. When you've had an inspiration to pick up the phone and call an old friend and they say, "How did you know? How did you know that I needed something? How did you know that I needed you?" And you've probably been in the receiving end of that as well, where there was a need for you and something or someone came along that was just at the right time. It says, "Wow, how did you know?" Okay, well, that's what we have the opportunity to do. Now, I taught this training to a couple in Logan. They were in a store just checking out, and they said to the cashier, "How you doing today?" And the cashier said, "Lousy." And they said, "Really? What's wrong?" "Oh, it's not you. It's my doctor. He just called me and told me that I've got MS." And they said, "Really?" Believe it or not, we work with a doctor that specializes in preventing and reversing MS. You do? Yeah, it's what we do. In fact, I've got a CD in the car by this Dr. Wallach. If I lend you a CD, would you listen to it? What do you think she said? Yeah, she wanted the CD. In fact, another cashier wanted the CD. Somebody behind him in the store wanted the CD. In 5 minutes, they'd handed out 3 CDs. That's what we can do. And I explained this to another gentleman in St. George. He was coming out of a Costco, saw a gentleman in a wheelchair, and said, "What are you doing in the wheelchair?" And the gentleman in the wheelchair said, "Well, I was a truck driver and I got hit by another truck while I was working on my own. He came and ran over me. And I've been in the wheelchair since then." And he said, "Believe it or not, I work with a doctor that specializes in helping beat up old truck drivers get out of their wheelchairs." 35 days later, that former truck driver and his brother were both senior executive marketing directors in this company. They've got a great business here. And they're seeing a huge difference in their lives. Okay, this third-party approach can help. In fact, our independent marketing director of the year, because he was a plumber, he says, "A lot of my friends know me as a plumber," and he has this down about bringing people to the restaurant. Now, he actually does the presentation for a number of people. He's got a great organization, lots and lots of senior executive marketing directors, vice presidential marketing directors. He even has a presidential and a vice chairman marketing director in his team. But even though he can be the restaurant for his people, anytime he's bringing somebody in, anytime he's talking with them, he understands the principle of not being the restaurant. And he uses a third-party approach. He says, because, with me, my friends know me as a plumber. For me to say I work with a doctor, they're going to say, "Well, that's a little bit of a stretch, right?" So he uses this third-party approach. He just adds one little phrase. Believe it or not, I have a friend that works with a company that specializes in helping people exactly like you with the exact problem you have. Now, remember, you can guess their interest, you can talk about that interest, and there is another option of helping them self-select. See, the CD, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, can be both a business tool as well as a health tool. Most of us understand the value as a health tool, but when I first listened to it, when Todd first listened to it, we understood that the message is so good that this CD could be an effective tool to leverage your time. You see, every time somebody listens to this CD, it'll do 70 minutes worth of work for you and do it in a way that's probably better than you could do yourself, right? So to use it as a business tool, one of the things that'll help you do it as both a business and and for health is this little CD. We call it the business mailer, but it's a little mailer that says, "This CD has changed my life. I want to share it with you." And inside are 5 different people, 5 different couples, and their stories on how this product, this message, has changed their lives physically, and the business has changed their lives financially. And it's great. Okay, um, this this can be a great tool for you, and it's available in that toolkit. Now, one of the people that actually used the CD and had some of the quickest growth, he did a commitment where he was going to give out 20 CDs a week. And he just dropped them off and he just let himself select. He says, "I've got something you really need to hear, but I can only leave it with you for 2 days." And he set a time to pick it back up. And because of that urgency, more people listen to it. So that urgency is going to help. But we lend the CD to increase the chances that they listen to it. If you give it away, it's theirs. They listen to it when they feel like it or when they have the free time. And most of us don't have a lot of spare time. In fact, most of us use up every minute of the day, almost every day, right? So because people are busy and they have more things to do than they have time to do, then what happens is it gets put off in many situations unless you've created urgency, unless you've inspired them to listen to it so much that they're going to take time out to listen to it, where lending the CD increases that chance about 3-fold and sometimes up to 7-fold. In fact, my brother, he went out the first time and gave away 10 CDs after he finally listened to it. And after 10 CDs, one person wanted to try the products, and I said, well, I actually, before that person even tried out, I told him to get back with me to let me know because I want you to get the best results for your time. So after you give 10 CDs out, call me. Let's talk about it. And that's a good principle for you that are new in this. After you've handed out your first 10 CDs, call whoever your sponsor, your upline is, and track with them the results. We're going to talk about a tracking trainer. A CD tracker that we can use to check off and put dates in there as you share the CD with people. We'll talk about that later. But track those results. And when he did, after the first 10, one person. Well, after the next 10, I said, do this for the next 10. Do this one thing differently. Simply lend the CD. He did that for the CD, and he set a time to pick it back up. That's the most important part to lending it. Set a time to get it back. He did that, and out of the next 10, 7 of the people wanted to use the products. Okay, so what do you say when you pick it back up? Well, when you pick it back up, this is a great time to do follow-up. And if you can ask, what'd you like? That's a great question because it's a positive question. And whatever their answer is, you just say, it sounds like you're ready for the next step. What's the next step? The next step's the restaurant. And they're going to say, well, what's the next step? The restaurant. It's bringing them to either a live presentation to meet the team via webinar or a local meeting. And in fact, you can probably write that at the back of your business cards. You can fill it in on our 60 Days to Company Car brochure. That's a great place for you to do it, but that's the next step. And after that step, the last step is continuing education. I want you to understand that in our business, we have lots of tools. Now, some people are ready after hearing the Dead Doctors Don't Lie to come to a presentation ready to get started. But some people aren't. Some people might need a little more education. Some people might need something like to listen to the Serial Killer CD because maybe they have a digestive issue. That can be continuing education. For some people, this is a great CD after they get involved. Now, my number one follow-up CD for somebody after they've heard the Dead Doctors Don't Lie is the Healing is Easy CD. But you can also have all of these others that are based on their specific situation. For example, if you have somebody that's brand new to network marketing, but they want to be successful. For me, one of the continuing education, and this is the reason it's in that CD audio library that I think everybody needs to hear, is the Building Your Business by Jim Rohn. Building Your Network Marketing Business by Jim Rohn. He'll talk about the parable of the sower. He'll talk about why profits are better than wages and many more things. Somebody wants to really understand the industry more. Brilliant Compensation. This is a great CD, phenomenal CD. It's one that'll take a lot of skeptics and make them to be advocates of the industry. Somebody that maybe they hear the CD, but they need a little more than just Dr. Wallach because they've been ingrained for so long that it's hard for them to swallow that they don't have to be sick. Well, there's another follow-up CD that a lot of people really, really like, Who Made MDs King by Dr. Peter Glidden. And this is another one that when people listen to it, they get excited about the information, and now they're ready to take the next step. And some of them listen to it as they get started on the products, and it helps to reinforce the great decisions that they made. And here's another one for somebody brand new into the company that's great for learning that in addition to watching that webinar, you can do it too. This is a training about simply how to share the CD. And that's some of the continuing education. Now, I want to end this by going over something that we call the CEO 60 Day to Company Car program. See, the purpose of this program is to provide kind of a structure for you to come in and know exactly what to do in order for you to qualify to have the company make your car payment. And it's not very difficult. It's not very complicated. It's actually pretty simple. But it does require work, and it's a work program. But if you'll work for the next 60 days, you can qualify for this bonus. Now, if you don't work as hard, it might take you longer. It might take you 3 months. It might take you 4 months. But as long as you continue to work, we believe that everybody will get there. And we say that from experience because we know that if you share enough CDs with people, if enough people listen to it, okay, if you share it so that they listen to it, we're going to find people that are interested, all right? So, again, the purpose of this is to get more people in new cars, and along the way, to get a lot more people healthy, right? So the next 60 days, get 20 CDs a week, 20 CDs a week, and you're going to share them with people, and then just simply follow the system that we walked you through. That system is explained in this company car brochure program. Here's this health tracker. You can go to 60 days to 60daystocompanycar.com and pull this off, and it'll actually give you a place to write 10 names, to write down a little bit of information about what their need is, to write a date on when you lend out the CD, a date on when you pick it up, a check mark to see if they've watched your videos, all of these things. You just follow and kind of check, and it's kind of a paint by number system where it makes it really easy to do. Folks, that's the training here. That's what we do, and it's all about making a difference in people's lives. And the number one way we do that is to get more and more people to listen to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie CD. It's that simple. Well, we've enjoyed being with you here tonight. I want to thank everybody who has asked questions and everybody who's answered questions, because, folks, we want you to get the answers to your questions. We want you to feel confident in us. For us, it's not about making a sale, it's about making a difference, about making a connection, that you get such great results with the products in the business that you can't help but tell your friends about it because you know that they need this too. All right, well, we're going to open it up for questions now. I know there's just a couple minutes left. If there's any questions that people have, please go ahead and ask that, share it with us, and we'll do our best to answer. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Wayne. I'm just plugging into the system myself. The CD does so much of the work for us. Thank you, Kathy. Hey, and thank you all for all you do to help share the message and make a difference in people's lives. See, we're all part of this crusade, folks. And you've heard the phrase, a rising tide raises all ships. Well, we believe in that. We believe that the more people that get healthy, the better the company's going to do, the better all of us are going to do. Great, Carla. Thank you for being on. Hey, and for anybody, if you missed the call on nutrition and pregnancy and you want that write-up, I am going to just put in my email address. Feel free to email me at japanblake@hotmail.com. Thank you, Ernie. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, make your list and use that CD mailer. So let's start sharing that out. You know, this business is going to get easier and easier to do. But if we don't reach out to people, there are people that maybe somebody else is going to reach that could have been in your organization. And there are also other people, folks, that if you don't reach, no one else will. And some of them I've actually had the unfortunate experience of when it's been too late. And I hope that you don't have to have that experience as well. But reach out to people as much as you can, and let's make a difference in people's lives. All right. With that, we're going to end the webinar. We want to thank everybody for being on, and we look forward to seeing you. Yes, Louise, we look forward to seeing you in Oregon. And for all the people in Denver, we look forward to seeing you in Denver. I am in Japan right now, but we'll be back after another 2 weeks of tours that I have here, 2 weeks of seminars here. Going to be back. We're going to stop by in Hawaii for a day, have a little bit of fun in Hawaii. But then we're going to be back to Utah. Hey, good question. Kathy, if you leave it longer, the question I'm going to ask you back, are they going to listen to it? And if you think the answer is yes, then you can leave it with them again. In fact, I like to call them up before I go and say, hey, just wanted to verify, just confirm that we're getting together at 5. I want to get your feedback on that CD. And they say, oh, I haven't listened to it. Give them another shot. I like to give them another shot. But I say, okay, well, tell me when you need it, when you think you can listen to it by, and set the next appointment. And if they aren't ready to set that next appointment, if they kind of whiffle waffle, well, I really don't know, then just get it back from them, okay? It's better that you get it back and keep the urgency and the importance high because there's somebody else that needs to listen to it than it is that you leave it with them and they don't listen to it, okay? Get it back from them in that case. And if you've lent it to them once and lent it to them again and they still haven't listened to it, Nephi did this with his sister. See, he had his sister Valerie. Really needed the message. Actually was trying a little bit of the products, hadn't listened to the CD. And he called her up, and after giving her 2 chances, said, all right, I need to get that back. I've got somebody else that needs to listen to it. And she did not want to give it back until she had listened to it. So while he was driving over, she put it in the CD player and listened to it. She is now a vice presidential marketing director with our company. Great business builder, has a fantastic organization. And part of the reason is because she listened to the CD. Yeah, and Todd said the exact same thing there. Thank you, Todd. Okay, any other questions? Well, if not, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for all you do to make a difference in people's lives. Let's go out there and continue to make a difference. Remember, everyone that we can impact other people. Everyone that gets involved with the business will in turn impact lots of other people. So that's why we're looking for people not only